Okay, so I'm Olivier. I'm based in New York. I'm a co-founder of Exclusible. Before Exclusible, I worked for 18 years in the luxury industry, essentially at Cartier and then Goyard, and then Bastille, which is a beauty brand from the south of France. And so Exclusible, we started as an NFT marketplace for luxury brands, and we diversified our activities on the metaverse side with the acquisition of a 3D studio based in the US called Polycount, and also on the tech side with white labeling of our various tech stack.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Pierre-Nicolas Herstel, CEO and co-founder at Arianee. We started Arianee in 2018 with a vision that we embedded in the name, which is a reference to the Ariane link. We believe in a different internet, decentralized, where people control their data. And we're convinced that tokens, NFTs, are a new form of data, zero-party data, that people control and that can become the link between them and the brands, organizations, and projects they love. And we've built a tech stack, starting with an open source protocol, and then with a software as a service suite, allowing brands to generate, distribute, and leverage NFTs to transform their community relationship management.
Awesome. Thank you. Nicolas?
Hello, everyone. I'm Nicolas Chambon, working at Breitling since 2018. Initially from the engineering world, so I changed a bit career along the way, and now I'm taking care of digital projects for Breitling, mostly with a business angle, and so I get involved into the blockchain topics that we work on currently with Arianee. Yes, I'm very happy to be joining this conference.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for this for the introduction. So the idea of today's call, obviously, is to dig a little bit about this industry and the fit. Obviously, that seems to be quite important between the metaverse industry and the luxury industry. We have around an hour for this discussion, and we also bullet some questions at the end of the session. If that's okay with you. Maybe we can start off by your use case, actually, Nicolas, and the work you've been doing with Arianee, so that the audience can get a sense of your needs and how basically, obviously, the pain that basically Arianee resolved with your collaboration.
So I can give a broad overview of what we did with Arianee since the beginning. So we started quite early on in 2020 already, early 2020, with the first pilot of NFTs, which were linked to a limited edition. So of course, maybe for Breitling, I guess everyone knows, but we are a Swiss watchmaking company. So for us, the NFT has always been seen as a digital twin to a physical product. We started with this pilot in early 2020, and then we deployed it at scale already end of 2020. Which since then, each single Breitling watch being produced comes with an NFT. And I believe the first, so I was not directly involved early when this happened, but I believe the first answer that we wanted to address, or the first point that we wanted to address, is okay, how can we enrich the ownership experience of the watch with a digital twin offering multiple details about the product first, and then maybe we will see that afterwards. But then we made the NFT an entry key, to additional services. So that's what we built, and Arianee has been very helpful on this journey.
Awesome. And was Web3 something that's, why did you get really involved with it? Or what maybe initiatives made you think like, okay, this may be of yeah, it may be actually pertinent for the and relevant, sorry, for the company and for the strategical direction you want to take.
I believe there are two angles that, well, I think it depends on each brand, obviously, what they want to, how they want to leverage the capabilities offered by the NFT. But I believe for us, there were two angles that we wanted to investigate, work on, where the first one is really linked to the as a brand, the NFT enables us to engage with clients in a new way. You mentioned it already, Pierre-Nicolas, but there is an anonymous angle, which is more and more important. There is also more and more personalized. We can engage with clients more and more personally without even knowing really their name. So it's a new way to engage with either new clients, but also existing clients. And as I would say, as a client, there are these topics of data privacy, owning the relation with the brand is more and more important. So I believe the NFT is also offering that possibility for clients to frame their own relation with the brand instead of the more traditional way of communication, which was through an email and a password, for example.
And was it well welcomed by maybe neophytes of the Web3 of your clients? How was it welcomed? Were there a lot of onboarded people? Are you happy with how it was welcomed as a whole?
So I do believe there is a lot of interest and curiosity. As everything new, it takes a bit of time and education to explain the benefits. And that's what we built over the past 2 years. And we see concretely our claim rate increasing as well. So we can see that the acceptance is more and more. And also, I believe the acceptance comes with all the services that you build around the NFT itself. So the more you bring additional benefits, concrete benefits for the clients, the easier it becomes to understand it and accept it.
And maybe a question also for Pierre-Nicolas regarding the NFT utility for Breitling. Is it stick to the digital twin? What can basically a client of Breitling that has his digital twin can expect of maybe evolution in the utilities product and the project as a whole, actually?
It's interesting to start with this question of utility because it's a topic that I think has been a little bit, I would say, a word that has been misused, I think, over the past 2 years. If you do a useless NFT and you cover people with gifts to keep these people have the NFT or buy it, and you call that utility, I think it's not a good way to use this word. An NFT is useful by nature because it's a proof. It is a proof that you own an asset. This asset can be digital, it can be physical, or it can be a proof that you've been somewhere or that you're part of something. And so the question is, do I have a good reason to give a proof? And do I give good ways to use this proof? So when you own a watch, that's very easy. You prove that you own a watch, you're going to be able to use this proof in many different occasions. You want to repair, tomorrow you want to resell, you want to be part of the program, you want to trade your watch, you want to estimate your watch. So many reasons where proving that you're the owner of the asset allows you to access the service. And so that is what makes what Breitling is doing exceptional. So for the little story, I'm a lucky owner of a Breitling, but for lots of reasons, I didn't have the chance to activate the service until last week. And so I've been through the entire journey, and look, it's totally mind-blowing. So basically, you can get your NFT within a non-custodial wallet. I don't know how much people around here are perfectly familiar with that, but this is a huge evolution. You're allowed to truly own an asset in a wallet that you where you have the keys, which is important. And the recent news show us how important it is to keep your assets within the place that you own the keys. Then, when you open an account with Breitling, you can decide to pair. And so you're going to have access to the features of the NFT from your client account or from your non-custodial wallet completely seamlessly. If you want to estimate your watch and know how much it's worth now, you need the digital passport to be in your wallet. And you need to have like a wallet connect proof that your token is in your wallet and that this wallet address is linked with your account. And now you can access the estimation of the watch. If you want to trade your watch with this extremely innovative trade-in program by Breitling, you also must be able to prove that you have the digital asset and the physical asset. So I think this tells us a lot about, how far you can go in terms of seamless journeys between web and app, connection between first-party systems like a client account and zero-party system like a wallet, and activation of meaningful use cases based on the proof that you own the asset.
So have you, it's a super interesting use case you mentioned on the marketplace aspect of token gated. I mean, I don't know if it's obviously, it seems like it's a token gated process basically for selling items, because usually when you talk to people about digital twins, the first thing that will come up is to say, okay, if I have a Breitling and I have the NFT proving it, the digital twin, I could literally sell fake Breitlings around the world, etc. So it's really something that comes up saying, yeah, look, I have the NFTs, so I have the legitimacy to maybe basically do counterfeit items, etc. It's something that people will naturally think of, basically saying like, how at some point, because there is the intervention of the human, having the digital twin, for them it doesn't seem like the ultimate proof, but it's because obviously you have the token gated process. That's something that came.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, but I have a hard time with this argument.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, look, if I own a JPEG, I can own any JPEG. Well, I mean, at some point.
No, it's obviously not what I mean.
But look, if we start there, you could fake a Bored Ape as well. I take a copy of a Bored Ape, I place the JPEG on EPFS somewhere, I mint it. You could fake anything if you want to be extremely creative. When you have a physical asset, there's a serial number on it. There are different elements that define this physical asset. If you have the passport of this asset, it's like when you used to have it like in paper within the box, and the physical and the digital are connected through the serial number, you might have the NFT, and then you can maybe do once a copy. And then what are you going to do? You're going to sell the copy with the NFT and keep the real one. And once you've done that once, it's over, because you can't duplicate the NFT. So this argument, I think, is a little short, because the NFT itself is a scarce digital asset that can't be duplicated. What
I meant is that for Web2 users or people that are not obviously used to the process, they feel like they don't see why it's a real different proof. But it's just that it's interesting, because in the audience, obviously, people might believe in this argument, etc. So, for instance, we have bouncing on this. We have a question.
So the serial number in case of the watch and the chassis number in case of the car is what is proof. Then proof of what? The question is proof of what? The NFT in this case, the digital passport, is not an authenticity proof. The authenticity is a physical element. Okay, you have an authentic watch because you bought it within a Breitling store, and there is a serial number and a movement number. And when you go back to the brand, you can relate that either to their internal system or to your NFT. Okay. Then the proof is the proof that you are the owner at some point. And so the link then, what's the link between the NFT and the watch? That can be a serial number, several numbers. In the case of Breitling, you're going to have the serial number, the model number. Some people are going to add a layer of, I would say, a technology with an NFC chip, for example. So all of these elements can become the link, but the proof is the proof that you're the owner. A little bit like when you connect your wallet to a drop and you have a Bored Ape, you prove that you have the Bored Ape and you're going to be whitelisted. Well, it's the same.
And I believe it also comes to the way we, for Breitling at least, well, we create NFTs. We do create them when the watch is being physically produced. So as soon as, if I'm not mistaken, I'm not a technical expert here, but I believe as soon as the NFT is being created once, it cannot be duplicated anymore for this set of for this duo of data, watch reference and serial number. So so there is already a first layer here. Then to access the NFT, you need to have a warranty card with a QR code that you get only when you access the watch. And then comes the scalability of, let's say, potential fraud. I mean, even if you manage by any kind of way to create a duplicate one time, then I'm not sure you can find a way to make it scalable and make real money with it. So it might end up being a very localized initiative, I would say. And to close on this, I think if you take, before the way to prove ownership was to show an invoice. I believe there is, I mean, I'm again not an expert in Photoshop, but I believe it's not that difficult to Photoshop an invoice and change the name of anyone on it. So there is nothing, something which is 100%, but I do believe the NFT brings a much more advanced layer of security than paper that pretty much anyone could produce.
No,
and I think Priyanka in the chat is right. The physical asset is the primary. The asset is the watch. The NFT is the support. And this is the. I'd like to show you. So this is the NFT of my Breitling. I just want to show you how you generate this proof. In one click, I can generate a QR code that I'm going to share with you. You're going to be able to scan it from your screen. And this QR code is basically a temporary proof that you can't screenshot, that is going to be valid just during a couple minutes. It is a temporary proof that I'm the owner of this watch. So you're going to be able to scan this QR code. You're going to see the content of the NFT on a standard web page. You don't even need any kind of, I would say, any kind of specific app. And you will see that the proof is valid just a couple of minutes. So I let you scan that. If you want to take any phone, scan the QR code and you get on the landing page and you will see the history of my watch. You will see that the proof is valid. And so here, this is kind of a token gated in physical world. Mm-hmm. I'm showing you a proof that I'm the owner of this watch. You can learn everything about the watch anonymously. You can see that in the history tab, you will see since when I'm the owner, when I bought the watch. You can see at the very bottom that the proof is valid just for a couple minutes. So if you screenshot this in 10 minutes or 30 minutes, I don't know what we scheduled here, the proof will be invalid. So that's the core. I'm the owner of this watch. I can prove it. I can prove it with this QR code to access a service. But when I connect my wallet, the proof is automatically and natively digital, and different services are going to be available to me.
Thank you very much. It's super interesting. And you see, like Priyanka, for instance, great that it's giving you a clear prospect of it. I think it's really important because when we talk about Arianee, etc., for people that are not used in the ecosystem, sometimes it's hard for them to grasp if you agree, maybe we'll switch a bit to also center around the metaverse aspects and maybe the initiative of obviously the luxury companies in it. And maybe we can bounce back with the first question regarding Breitling as well. Is that something that interests you with the first step that you've done, the NFTs being an awesome use case for the metaverse? Is that something that you have in mind, in plan, some initiatives, or yeah, what's the strategy here?
Well, the question is, will NFT become more looked after than now, trendy than watches? I do believe, for us at least, we still remain a brand offering physical products. We do work on initiatives to bridge the metaverse and the physical experience together. So that's what we are trying to build. But yeah, I would say the watch itself remains the key primary asset, and the NFT enables to access an ecosystem of additional services, be it in the metaverse or not. With, of course, always an important bridge to make with the physical world, where some real physical benefits will happen for the clients.
Interesting. Maybe we can zoom a little bit out, and I'll ask Olivier this one, because at Exclusible you have a real impressive knowledge and savoir-faire on how to onboard luxury companies into the metaverse world. And I'll start off also with a question: is what are your best metaverse supports? Which are the ones you like working the most with, and can you explain maybe how you choose them for which company, and yeah, the strategy in this sense, because there are a lot of supports today on a lot of chains, and maybe not all the supports are made for all of the companies. Let's say Breitling wanted to do an event with you or something. Yeah, could you speak about all that to the audience? Thanks.
Yes, absolutely. So just to look back a little bit over the past year, what happened? So when we started Exclusible in, let's say, spring of 2021, Facebook was still called Facebook, okay? And so the metaverse was always on our roadmap, but further down the road, okay? And then in September 2021, Facebook renamed to Meta, and we really saw before and after this renaming. All of a sudden, the metaverse became a hot topic and on everyone's radar, and every brand that we were talking to about NFTs, selling NFTs, all of a sudden started asking us about the metaverse. Our approach has always been to be agnostic. So we don't favor one metaverse versus another. We see ourselves more as pioneers, or, like the front line. We go first, we try, we build, and then we learn. And we're also opportunistic in the sense that Web3 moves so fast. The reality of today is not the reality of 3 months ago, and even less 6 or 8 months ago. So our first experience was in November of 2021. After launching our own NFT collection, we saw the drop of Snoop Dogg in Sandbox, where I think he sold $14 million worth of NFTs in Sandbox. And so we jumped on that wave, on that bandwagon, and we bought $2 million worth of land, and we built luxury villas and luxury islands, which we sold in January 2022. That was the perfect time. Sandbox was really, really hot at the time. If you remember, January 2022 was a super hot bull market for NFTs. It was the perfect time. If you asked me today to do the same thing, I will not do the same thing. I cannot. And the space has evolved dramatically. We just did an experience with Christopher last week in Sandbox. We built a luxury hotel, and we created a quest and a game for Christopher in Sandbox. And that was, I think we had about like 50,000 unique visitors. So that was great. But then we started also, after the luxury villas and islands in Sandbox, we started working with Decentraland. We participated in the Fashion Week in March. We did the first dance competition in the metaverse. We did a concert with Bob Sinclair. We brought the brand Hogan from Tod's into Decentraland. And then we met with Spatial, and we did the biggest NFT drop on Spatial ever in June of 2022. So as we were progressing, forward in time, we became much more certain and aware of what the reality of the metaverse was, and also what we felt was probably the best experience for brands. We have identified more than 150 different metaverse, and we have tried 60 of them with a ranking, with a scorecard. And so because we build first, we do first, then we can get a lot of data and insight. We are very close to all the teams. So today, it's a long answer. So today, the reality is that brands, so the hot trend of everybody wants to go in the metaverse, it's kind of over. And I'm glad. There's no more FOMO. Like 6 months ago, every brand was FOMOing into trying to do a metaverse experience without knowing why, without understanding why this low graphic, low 3D graphics were hyped, So now it's different. Brands are much more picky, and as they should, and much more selective. Selective in terms of the quality of the experience. Then we can go into different ROIs, different reasons, different objectives with a metaverse experience. And so you really have platforms like Spatial that have rose to prominence. Spatial, it's a Unity-based platform that's accessible, extremely easy to access on desktop, on mobile, multiplayer, Web 2, Web 3, with some off-the-shelf experiences or space available. If you want something of the best quality, top quality, you have to go with Unreal Engine 5. And this is a platform called, the platform that we prefer the most, it's Journée. But of course, then it has different types of limitations in terms of cost, in terms of accessibility, and cost of streaming as well. But now the space is much more structured, and depending on the objectives that the brand wants to achieve, there is always a few platforms that will be available.
Because, and tell me if I'm wrong, are the brands basically jungling between I want a fun gamified experience in a low poly metaverse like Sandbox, Decentraland, or I want an experience that is close to reality and maybe more immersive, maybe with the VR, etc. And so I'll go to Journey or Spatial, for instance. Is that like the two main points on which you're jungling with their demands, or you could actually do something quite immersive on Sandbox, and it's not only about maybe the gamification that it brings?
I think the reality is that what's emerging is that if the brands are willing to sacrifice the quality, the choice actually becomes Roblox. Instead of Sandbox and Decentraland. And if they are favoring high quality experience, then they will go towards Spatial or Journée, or even build their own microverse based on Unreal Engine 5. Sandbox and Decentraland are becoming very, very specific for some use cases. Sandbox is it's a video game with a very strong aesthetic choice. And we can argue also that the aesthetic choice is actually kind of makes sense, because when you are in a 3D environment, which is supposed to be photorealistic, the minute there is a default, you don't have like the unbelievable interaction that Unreal Engine 5 offers. You notice the difference. You notice the weakness into the quality of the render. If you go into Sandbox, there's no question, it's not the reality. It's not trying to replicate the reality. So you're much more forgiving in Sandbox than if you are in a 3D realistic environment. And Roblox, of course, so we see more and more brands going into Roblox because you know that it's a different type of objective. It's what I call the share of attention. It's building awareness. It's really top of the funnel activation, where you are going to put your brand in front of millions of daily users who could be your next cohort of consumers that you're going to try to educate and capture.
So bouncing on what you just said, what is the ROI for those companies? Like what are they looking for when they come to Exclusible? What are their main expectations? Like why, basically?
Yes, so we see the metaverse as the experiential side of e-commerce. Okay, and brands are trying to tap into this new world of ultra hyper creativity. No one better than luxury brands know how to storytell. No one better than luxury brands know how to build creativity and create amazing experiences. So the power of the metaverse is to offer this very immersive experience with no boundaries, no time doesn't apply, the laws of physics do not apply. So brands can really express their creative vision without limits. So I think that's, first of all, it's a very interesting angle. And so right now we are in the phase of discovering how to make that happen. What's the best platform? What's the cost? Who are the users? Who goes there? On the commerce side, I'm very bullish, I want to say. I want to make sure that commerce is integrated one way or the other, and that ultimately these experiences can monetize, and that it really becomes an experiential commerce where you have content, commerce, and what I call social is the idea of multiplayer. You can literally meet other people, and with your avatar becomes kind of like your third persona. You have you in the real life, you have you on social media, and you have you through your avatar in immersive worlds. And so, yeah. Sorry,
just and when you talk about commerce, are you talking about virtual merchandising or physical as well for those brands?
Both, actually.
Okay.
Our thesis, the reason why we built Exclusible is because we firmly believed that in this decade, every single brand in the world, not only luxury, but every brand will sell digital assets. Especially on the fashion side, every collection that launches in the physical world will have some type of a digital equivalent, okay? And that those digital assets will be integrated in the product portfolio of every brand, and they will find out the pricing, they will find out the cadence at which to launch these assets. And it's going to be very normal, completely accepted, especially by the new generation, to buy products that exist and products that don't exist. And so these products that don't exist, the digital assets, will find their utility in some type of metaverse platforms. But I also want brands to be able to sell physical products from a metaverse experience. And so right now it's a little bit on the primitive side. Journée, for example, offers in-game checkout, whereas Spatial, for example, at the moment, is a link out to your e-commerce page.
And so are the brands more onto the fact that they want to onboard this new cohort of people you mentioned, basically new clients, the clients of tomorrow? Do they want to onboard basically those guys that know about the metaverse and that didn't know actually that their brands would actually get so much involved? Or are they at the same time also teaching to their current client, like, look, it's actually a great way to have a different interaction, a different way of experiencing your brand with us? Is it more like on onboarding Web3 people, or obviously teaching to the ones that are already clients of, let's say, Breitling or another company?
So on the metaverse side, brands always have a choice. Do they go on an existing platform and the platform has a native audience, Decentraland, Sandbox, Spatial, or do they go on a platform, or do they build an experience that has no users, and therefore they are the brand is responsible for driving traffic to that audience, to that experience? If that's the case, then the brand has to rely on its existing audience. And so, which is interesting, because if they market this experience through their traditional channels, emails, Instagram, whatever, they will drive traffic from their audience who is interested, who is curious about Web3, about the metaverse, about all these experiences. So it's a way to kind of identify. And then on top of that, if you add a layer of NFTs, what Arianee has been doing with Breitling and with other brands, is the idea if you add a token, an NFT to the metaverse experience or to this journey, then you can identify really that cohort, that community of early Web3 enthusiasts or curious. And then you can go outside. You can also start marketing to Web3 enthusiasts and metaverse users. So the answer is always it's a combination of both at the moment, but within your existing audience, there are people who are going to be curious and who are going to follow you into your Web3 journey.
And a question for you also, Pierre-Nicolas, because we're mentioning this metaverses, and obviously those platforms are decentralized in the way that they use NFTs, and that you can create content for, let's say I'm a 3D modeler, etc. So in the sense, it's decentralized, but at the end of the day, those platforms are super centralized. And at the heart of Arianee is ownership. And you mentioned the non-custodial wallets, etc. What's your opinion on the actual metaverses and the fact that the promises of decentralization is not quite there at the moment? And yeah, your opinion on this. And
it's a hard question. I think the point that I would not, that I don't want us to miss is the point of not only the decentralization of the system, but the ownership of data. That's really what matters, I think, in what's broken in the internet today. What are the biggest issues we've seen today online are because of centralization of power, centralization of personal data, and now we've seen FTX, centralization of money now. But what I think is really important is to look at this, look at the metaverse as a new channel, a new space for entertainment, a new space for social relationships, a new space for shopping, and now soon a new space to use digital assets. But just a channel, this is not going to replace the physical channel, the digital channel. You're going to continue to shop online, to shop physical, to shop immersive. And what's really interesting here is how you can go from one place to another with your own data. Okay, this own data can be, like Olivier is saying, tomorrow a purely digital product, but that can also be your token membership card or your proof that you own a physical asset. And maybe if I walk into a metaverse and I own a Breitling, I can be recognized when I enter the immersive shop within the metaverse because I connect my wallet and there's a Breitling in it. And I think that's what's really interesting, because today what's happening is that we connect everywhere with Facebook and Google. So basically we carry with us whatever we do on decentralized platforms that make us the product and leverage our data to make money on the back of brands, basically. And where we're going, it's a very different world in which people own their data under the form of NFTs and other forms of tokens within a new client account that is universal and truly owned by people, that is called the wallet. And then they go from a place to another freely without being the product, and with a level of personalization That is tremendous. And so when you look at the opportunities for brands and what they can, get out of that, Olivier is right. There will be new revenues because at some point, pure digital assets, what Artifact and Yuga Labs are doing, any brand will be able to do that. But it will take a while because not everyone is a native product marketer in the terms of digital assets. When you're used to create experiences and products, you don't market properly immediately a digital asset. So brands will need to learn, they will need time, but then at some point it will be revenue. But it is also going to be a major cost saving and shift of business model in terms of community relationship management and advertising. Today, all the money online goes to Facebook and Google for what? For talking to people, addressing audiences. And they can do that because they capture what people do and they capture who people know. And then from there, they're able to give you segments. And from these segments, you're able to drive people to your store or your metaverse or anywhere, make them buy something. And that's what's really gonna change. And last thing, I'd like to bounce back on what Olivier said earlier about you bring people sometimes from your socials to when we launched the season NFT for Le Stade Toulousain, which is a famous rugby club last year, we transformed 5% of their social audience, of their Instagram audience, into an owned audience of token holders. Which means that people that used to be followers, and remember, followers are not yours, you don't own them, you don't own the data, you can't even talk to them for free. And now 5% of them are token holders, which means that they have a piece of data that you share with them, which is an NFT. And from there, you can address them. And that's where we believe everything should or will be going. This capability to address someone because not because you took some data from this person or because you encouraged him to give his data to a third party, but because you gave him a piece of digital value. And tomorrow it will be a digital watch. Today is a physical one. And then it's a membership and it's whatever.
Thank you very much. For that, regarding like, sorry, I'll just. Please mute. Sorry, that's my bad. Here it is. Thank you. Sorry. Now, regarding what we said and what you actually said, Pierre-Nicolas, regarding the fact that it's actually about owning your data rather than being the product and rather than putting your email, every of your information. How is basically, and what do you think? And I know you're building basically a wallet that want to be interoperable with different chains and trying to put as much NFTs as possible in it. What do you think about the fact that obviously, if I have a Breitling watch that was minted through Arianee, if I connect to Decentraland, I won't maybe, let's say in the future that it's a Verge that is associated with it. I want to have the interoperability to have the same asset, 3D assets in Decentraland, but also in Sandbox usable. Don't think like it's exactly like the interoperability that basically makes that it doesn't matter if you have different centralized platform, because at the end of the day, you need people running stuff. But as long as you own the data, as long as you own the assets, basically you can switch those platforms and be actually the contributor and not only the product of it.
Yeah. But look, interoperability is at the heart of Web3. This is the main thing about Web3 is true ownership and interoperability. So, and a watch in Decentraland, it's an asset. And a wallet is not an app. A wallet, it's on the blockchain. It's an address. It's a public address, 0x something. And then you might have an interface that gives you access to this wallet, but you can use several. For example, the wallet in which I showed you my Breitling, 0x9, whatever the address is, I use it here, but I also have it in MetaMask. I imported it there. And this address, I can connect this address to any decentralized application, including Decentraland and Sandbox and whatever, using Wallet Connect from any Arianee compatible app. So it's not because you onboard someone into a cool interface that you lose interoperability. So for example, the digital watch is just an asset that can be added to the metadata. We've done that actually for a very big company in France. We helped them for an internal event. They released a daily pass for every day for their, I don't know, it's like 2,000 or 3,000 participants. And within this daily pass, there was the hoodie in Decentraland. And so they would use the Arianee wallet, go connect on Decentraland, and place the hoodie on the head of their on their avatar. So interoperability is key, but interoperability is natively offered by the EVM environment. And sorry to be technical, by EVM we mean Ethereum virtual machines. So all the chains running in the Ethereum environment, including the mainnet, Polygon, PoA network, and many others, Avalanche, etc., Gnosis. On all these chains, you can move with the same address. So your 0x9 something works on all these chains. You can have assets on all these chains. And as long as the interface you use gets you to manage your private key and is compatible with Wallet Connect, you can just scan a QR code and be connected everywhere.
Of course, what I meant was the obviously that the hoodie you mentioned, and obviously you can import and export a wallet and you can connect to any app. That's the base of it. But unfortunately, at some point you would need a centralized action that says, okay, this hoodie that you place on an avatar in Decentraland, you can't place it in the same way with the interface you mentioned on Sandbox without someone integrating it, a centralized person from Sandbox. And what would be awesome is that tomorrow you don't need it actually.
I don't agree. There are different ways to do that. But if the metadata of your NFT is composed of different assets, and within the metadata of a simple NFT, you add the corresponding asset for Sandbox and Decentraland, then you can connect everywhere and you don't need the centralized platform to give you anything. So I think this is already possible. We've done it several times. Olivier.
If I can just add a little something here. I completely agree with Pierre-Nicolas. Interoperability is kind of the holy grail of Web3 at the moment. And it can be achieved. It can easily be achieved. You want a wearable on Decentraland and on Sandbox. It's purely a question of file. It's an asset. So you need to pay. You need to pay to build the asset in Decentraland, and you need to pay to build the asset in Sandbox. And then you can release both, and then your user can evolve in both platforms and enjoy their assets. Because there is a cost on the tech and the asset side, that's why no one really does it. And then if you want to the same asset in Roblox, which Roblox is centralized platform, not blockchain based, but you can create a skin. It's the same thing. Every platform a lot of platforms have different tech requirements. And so you want to be in 10 platforms, you might have to build 10 different assets. That's the limit at the moment. There is no, we know startups and we know companies that are trying to create that automatic conversion from a file to another. But then, and so it will come in the future. It's not there yet. It has to be a manual process at the moment. But then also I ask myself, is it really what users want? At the moment, do I really care to have my wearable in Decentraland? And is it like an added value for me to be able to have the same in, in Sandbox, for example?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's important that we spend a couple of minutes here because I always hear in meetings, yes, but this is not interoperable. The games are not, there's no interoperability. Like if we're talking about the most interoperable technology ever being available for people and we're challenged on the interoperability. It's mind-blowing. It's like the more you give, the more the question is it's crazy for me. So now people are reading too many things. Solana here, Cardano there, does that work, etc. Obviously, all chains are not interoperable, but who cares? There's one, so our belief is the EVM environment, the Ethereum environment is the strongest today. More than 4,000 or 5,000 developers daily, super robust chains, all the brands, everyone going to either the mainnet or Polygon or side chains, etc. This is extremely strong. Decentraland is built on that. Sandbox is built on that. Like all the big things. So if you, first of all, yes, you have to make a choice being in one of the galaxies of this universe. Blockchains is a huge universe. You have the Ethereum galaxy in it. That's the biggest one, the denser one. And if you're inside this environment, there is native interoperability. What that means is your wallet can go on any chain with the same address. You don't need two addresses. You can hold assets everywhere. And then thanks to Wallet Connect, you can connect to any app anywhere with the same protocol Wallet Connect and your same and unique address, and you can see your assets. And that's interoperability. Now, metaverses are games. You know, why would they all look the same? Why would my asset in Sandbox be the same in Decentraland? It can't, because it's not the same look and feel. So by definition, I will always need two files. And that's okay. Because at some point, if the proof is that you own a wearable, and that wearable is set to be compatible to different environments, then you have 4 GLBs within your NFT instead of 1, and that's okay.
Thank you, guys. Maybe we can take the couple of minutes left to answer some questions that we didn't. The first one, going back to Nicholas, how did you leverage NFT smart contracts opportunity to handle secondary market revenue generated by your watches? That's more regarding the Breitling probably, and to see if it's a plan in your future, obviously, revenue plans.
So for now, what we built is a peer-to-peer trade platform that you can access by proving ownership of your NFT, of your watch NFT. So that's actually what Pierre-Nicolas described. You perform a Wallet Connect, and you would be able then to, even if you own your NFT within your phone or etc., you can perform a simple QR code scanning, and we understand that you own this NFT, and we give you access to the platform where you can list your watch. It's a peer-to-peer, so it's the watch will be visible to other Breitling enthusiasts, and you close your deal within enthusiasts, let's say, for now. There are no, if the question is, are there commissions on any transactions there? That's not the case. It's purely peer-to-peer, and we are not involved in transactions for various reasons. So that's one. Let's say the Breitling trade is one of the multiple elements that we have built around the NFT as an entry key.
I just want to comment on this question of secondary market and royalties for physical goods. Today, there's an infrastructure existing of marketplaces and players that have built businesses over the facilitation of the transfer of custody of a physical good, which is more complex, obviously, than transferring the custody of a digital asset. And this infrastructure is then structurally losing money. It's structurally losing money for 2 reasons. First of all, it costs a lot to the platforms to build the inventory. So to make sure that when buyers are coming to their platform, they see all the possibilities, and there are lots of watches or garments listed. Okay, and that is super costly. The second problem is that the risk of someone not being the true full owner, or the object not being authentic, is costing a lot in terms of verification. And so we will need, obviously, NFTs and Web3 can solve that completely, because imagine a world where just in one click from your NFT, you put it on sale, and it's automatically listed on all platforms. just with one toggle. Okay, so the cost of inventory disappears. If you look at OpenSea, it naturally lists all the NFTs produced. So tomorrow, imagine if eBay was listing naturally all the goods produced, and there's a huge marketplace of physical goods, and the inventory is natively available. So that's point one. Point B, when you will lower the pressure on trust, and people can connect their wallet and proof of humanity, proof of ownership, then once these two elements will be done, there will be space for royalties. But that's a long way to go. We first need to tokenize millions of products before asking these platforms that are working hard to make the secondhand not risky and safe and compelling experience, will be able to make space for royalties.
I believe, if I may add on this point, indeed, as a brand, what we wanted to build with this is really also to create recurring repeat purchases, right? So the idea is not really to get a small amount through transactions, because it would not be, as we are selling watches with a pretty high price point. It might not be, it's not very nice, right? But what we wanted to do is help clients, help the overall liquidity, and then generate naturally some repeat purchase. That's also one angle of the trade platform.
The follow-up question was actually on, and you addressed it a bit, but how did you introduce the NFT topic to your customers, basically?
Yeah, I saw that one. So indeed, well, basically we have now each single Breitling watch is coming with an NFT. As we said, we have a physical card in the watch box, basically, which has a QR code. And when you scan it, you land on the landing page, which is explaining you how to get ownership of this NFT. So that's the, let's say, the solution we have so far. Yeah.
Great.
I also added the link from the Breitling website where everything is explained with videos and things like that.
Yeah, in the chat, people, if you want to have a look, Pierre-Nicolas, I'll put it right there below. Have a more detailed view on everything they're building. So take the time to read it. It's pretty cool. A few questions were then answered when we talked. Yeah, there's a general question from Priyanka again, asking if customers are more overwhelmed or delighted with the digital twin concepts. I don't know the feedbacks you might have had. We talked about how a success it was for Stade Toulousain. Pierre-Nicolas, if you had any feedbacks here from obviously your community.
I mean, look, it's new. Okay, it's new. So obviously you have to make it simple. With YSL Beauty, we opened 24,000 wallets, 24,000 new people coming into Web3. There are, just for you to know, there are 4,000 Bored Ape owners. There are less than 30,000 owners of lands in Otherside, which is the Yuga Labs metaverse, which was the biggest NFT sales ever, 30,000 people. So when you open 24,000 wallets, and it's way more, obviously, with Breitling, we're talking about 100,000. We're talking about a scale of deployment of this technology that is massive. Okay, so now, do everyone understand? Do we need to be as seamless as possible? Yes, that's why, and that's also a choice of Breitling. Breitling customers have two ways. You know, they can access their NFT within their account, and they are onboarded with a wallet address that is hidden behind the account. And they can obviously transfer the NFT if they want. They can move to another non-custodial wallet, but they can have this very easy experience. And if they want to have the non-custodial experience, they go through the app and they note their 12 words on a secure place, and that's okay. So, you know, I think, and that's why we are convinced that brands have a huge part in this. We believe that brands will be the ones onboarding the next billion people. And so if you want to do that, we need on-brand and seamless interfaces to get them their first Ethereum address. And this has to be, if you are a luxury brand, if you are Yves Saint Laurent, Beauté, if you are, if you're Montclair, you're not going to be like, oh, hey, do you have MetaMask? You know, that's not happening. So you need to be able to give an on-brand experience without compromising with the ethos of Web3, interoperability, true ownership. I have my assets, I have my keys, I learn how to use my wallet, but progressively.
Yeah, and you learn to what's the use of the NFT without the pain of being like, okay, what's the seed phrase, what is everything, and you let time sink in. So that's that's quite awesome. Sorry, go ahead, Olivier.
No, I just want to add here that our vision, and I'm sure it's shared also here on the panel, that in the future, in the near future, everybody will have wallets. We will not care or not know sometimes that we have a wallet, because all the technology is going to disappear in the back end. Just like for those of you who were born or remember when we started duplicating music in the 90s on CD-ROMs, and the whole process was complex. And then we started learning about MP3 and how to download them and then put them on some type of device. Now all of this is completely obsolete. We just stream music, and, you know. So it's going to be the same for all of the Web3 components. Everything will be an NFT. We will all have NFTs and not even know or care that we do.
I love this comparison. It's like, yes, we're early. If we are in 98 and you're asking me, where do we listen to music in 2022 and who's going to be the winner? And I don't know who would be able to answer properly this question. Remember that a couple of years ago, we used to set up our email with SMTP and POP and a weird port number that you had to find somewhere on the FAQ online. I see your face, Benjamin, did not know that clearly. All of these things that were, and remember that at the beginning, before asking you, did you search on internet? You were like, do you have a computer? On your computer, do you have internet? On your computer, do you have a browser? And then what did you search for? Okay, so yes, it's clunky today. Yes, you have many different, but all of that is going to become the norm progressively. And one thing is sure, okay? And that's why I always end the presentations with brand with that. Everything you did in Web 2, every penny you put in Web 2, paying ads on social, etc., you built your digital jail. Every penny, every second you spend in Web 3, you build your digital freedom. So even if not everything is at scale now and the network effects are not massive and you're not going to get all of the benefits of the future, you have an opportunity, a unique opportunity to build an internet where you're in control and your users too. And so it's not just about what you're going to get now. It's about the place you're building for you, your kids, the democracy in general, and your marketing spendings. So this is big. This is not just trading depressed monkeys on the marketplace, you know, guys.
Very well said. Yes.
Couldn't have ended the session better, Pierre-Nicolas, with a great comparison and then a great ending. We're reaching to the time limits. Thank you very much, everyone. Nicolas, Olivier, Pierre-Nicolas. A super interesting conversation. Short, but we dig a lot of subjects. And so thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it. Thank you, everyone in the audience as well for the questions, for being there. And we'll see you for another Metacircle workshop or session.
For sure.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
See you guys.
Thank
Ciao.
you. Same here. Bye, everyone. Ciao, ciao.
Bye.
Bye.